I've been paying close attention to the trades that we should be picking up as men, and I was interested in trucking because like that's the most intense trade. I feel like that's the most intense trade. Carpentry, electricity, I, heating and ventilation, I can master that. But trucking, that's like a roller coaster. I want parts, but I want smoke with that. But I'm a college student in Philly, SBA. I've been paying close attention to the entry level medical program that I'm in. Um, I'm infiltrating the medical program because everybody loves me at UPenn.
Okay, brother. Here's
It's like a corner.
because our time is rather limited here. I need us to stay focused in one direction. It sounds like you done hit 3 or 4. I can't even say blunts. It sounds like you done dipped in some PCBs. You're just kind of all over the place. So can you choose a lane and stick in it? Is all you wanted to ask me about was the trucking? Was that all you wanted to know?
Absolutely not. I got a million questions, bro.
Okay.
I'm 26, like,
Okay.
and I listen to you.
Do you have a direction? Okay, you're 26 years old. You are too damn old to be wayward and listless. So let me find out here. What do you specialize in?
That's the thing. I'm versatile. I can't specialize in just one thing. I'm a DJ.
Okay, then you're never going to succeed. Okay, you're never going to succeed. This is what young folk do to waste their lives. I don't have a area of focus. Brother, you're going to have to choose one thing and perfect it, because without choosing one thing, you'll be a jack of all trades, master of none, and totally unable to capitalize in any meaningful way on any of them, because you're going to be a multiple amateur in several different arts. So the first thing I'm going to tell you is choose one to direct all of your energies toward, perfect that one thing so that you can maximize your gains, and then you can go from there. But right now, what you just said right there, when you were in high school, it was okay for you to give that answer. Hell, I got a lot of things I want to do. You're an adult now. You need to choose the one thing that you will do, and you will concentrate and focus all of your energies toward that so that you can perfect it, so that you become the best there is at it, so that people pay you the best money. That's the only way that happens. But you got to be excellent at something. Nobody is excellent at 5 things. They're average, but they're not excellent. So
You're absolutely right.
What is the one thing that you want to do?
I wanna get paid full time to do music, but of course that's not realistic. So I'm a medical student. I got 3
You're a medical
jobs.
student in what?
I just got
You're a medical student. You're a medical student at what?
The University of Pennsylvania.
Okay, I said at what?
In Philadelphia.
Are you going to medical school for?
Gas chromatology, mass spectrometry, basically chemistry and science. Look, Merck. I'm trying to infiltrate Merck because I got family members that go to Merck and they say I can get in there, so I'm gonna give that a try. And I'm building capital. I'm focusing on my credit score. I want to ask you this in your inbox, but I don't know like a more close and direct way to contact you because I hit up your Gmail.
Here's the issue. The issue is right now you're kind of all over the place. I hear what you're saying. I got medical folk who are going to listen right now and be like, what is he talking about? Were you referring to Merck Pharmaceutical? Is that who you're referring to?
Exactly.
Okay, so you have family who work for Merck Pharmaceutical.
Right. They should just give me a way to get in there through some type of program, but I got to get a degree in chemistry or science and something in that field so I can go through there the regular way.
All right. And
they don't have as much power as I thought.
Okay, and is that what you want to do?
I mean, I'm good at it, so.
You're good at what? You're in school. You're good at what? You're in school. What are you good at?
I'm good at science. I'm really good at math and science. Really good at. I got 200,000 followers on Twitter, bro. I got Nicki Minaj in my pocket. That's what I'm saying. I really need to talk to you, bro.
Okay.
About so many things, bro.
Here's what I need for you to do, okay? Is Sounds like you got a lot going on, but you are incredibly unfocused. You're going to need to choose one thing. After you actually accomplish something, choose one thing, follow it through to completion, and accomplish it. Come back to me with your completed medical school degree. Come back to me with your completed chemistry degree. And then you and I can discuss whatever you'd like. But actually show me you can finish something. Because being a Nicki Minaj fan, that doesn't mean anything at all. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm just trying to use manipulate. Okay.
Kids, this is your brain on drugs. Caller from area code 310. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Jason. This is TG from Los Angeles. How you doing tonight?
TJ from Los Angeles. What's on your mind?
Brother, I got an idea, not an idea, business. Went from idea to business. We have 2 deals under our belt, small business, just me and one other person. And we believe we have a way to execute, a really streamlined group economics online. And I wanted to know if I could get a correspondence with you, but more so if you ever thought of having maybe a competition or a vetting process for people who do have operational businesses, so they could be able to advertise on the platform like the I Want My Mask site.
Okay. Well, certainly if you want to advertise, we're going to see about that. I get a lot of requests for advertising. I have zero interest in anybody, quote, sending me some information. You want to do that? The previous caller wanted to do that. Every time I do a program like this, somebody wants to send me some information. What they are not wanting to do is to send me their credit score and how much capital they have in the bank. I noticed that one never comes up. So before you and I discuss anything else, what is your credit score and how much capital do you have in the bank?
Capital-wise, we're only at 5,000, which is, it's not the best, but something.
You're a small business.
And
you have $5,000, and you can just stop right there. It doesn't matter if the credit score is 900. You got $5,000 in the bank. So let me find out here. The information that you wish to send to me, what exactly is it you are wanting to send me?
The link to a website where we run our operation out of.
Now, you notice I asked you, what do you want? I want to send you a link to a website. You're on the phone with me right now. Why don't you just tell me what it is you all do? Whatever you were going to tell me in this email, why don't you just say it right now in 30 seconds?
Well, I can absolutely do that for you. And I misunderstood the question before. But all we do is we streamline the group ordering process so that we can more effectively get goods to customers and at lower prices. And it's something that really would have helped out with this whole COVID crisis.
We streamlined we streamlined the ordering process. You're literally not saying
the group ordering process. Yes,
you're literally not saying anything. You're literally not saying anything at all. Who's ordering?
Different customers that have similar purchasing preferences.
They're ordering from where? From whom? Ordering what?
Ordering basic goods and services through our website that sources the goods from Black producers if they're available. We then ship the goods, and because of the way that they're ordered, we save money. It's pretty much Groupon, but specifically for different Black communities and for specific goods and services that we want and need.
Okay. And your capitalization right now is roughly $5,000.
Yes.
Okay. That's pretty much it. Now, there's a reason why I'm doing this. I'm doing this because I want everyone to understand. When you ask somebody a question in the chat room, you said it right. Damn, I'm confused. When you ask somebody a question and the answers that you get back don't actually answer anything. They're really intangible. It's very unclear. There's a problem. There's a problem. How old are you?
32.
Okay, you're 32. And what do you have? Do you have any type of degree or certification for writing software?
No, I'm transitioning into tech. I've been practicing.
Who set your
site?
Who set your site up?
I did. I did it through Wix.
Okay, you set it up through Wix. All right. One more thing here. Is your family originally from the States?
My father, my mother's from Jamaica.
All right. I had an inkling about that also there as well. So I get a lot of you who want to ask me a lot of questions. But mostly what they're hoping will happen is they can get in touch with me. They've got a website. They've got a multi-level marketing account. They have got an idea. Now, they want somebody to put up some money, quote, so it can really take off, or they want me to use my platform to recruit for them. That's usually where those, quote, hey, Jason, I want to talk to you emails go. Those Jason, I want to talk to you emails usually end up in one of those three places. Usually ends up there. Can I talk to you?
Not looking for funding.
Can I get some money? Can you bring your audience to me? Usually, it usually goes in that direction. So here's what I want.
No, my original question was.
Okay. I heard your original question. Did you hear the questions I asked you?
Yes, I did, and I tried to answer it as best as I could, but
you did.
I do apologize.
No, you did answer it. No, you did answer it exactly the way I thought. Yeah, you did answer it. There are two people involved in your company, you said. Is that not correct? You said there were two. How long have you all been open for business?
I got the license 6 months ago.
What license?
We started.
What license?
Business license. So you got to file with the state. LLC.
Okay, and go on.
So I filed with the state 6 months ago. This person joined on 2 months ago. They got a really big marketing background. They used to work for Microsoft. They used to lobby in DC. They're kind of come back, not so much repentant, but really, wanting to use the skill sets that they've honed, that she's honed from her career, to kind of help out this business because she's seen it. She's seen me kind of build it up, and then she came on and joined. And definitely not looking for any funds or anything like that. More just wondering if you ever thought of.
Have you had sex
with her? Because your word means a lot. No. No. Okay. That's not what it's about.
Well, I got some real questions then, because if she worked at Microsoft, she must have been the janitor. Because if between the two of you, between two folk, how old is she?
She's 43.
Okay, so she's a decade older than you.
Yeah.
Okay. Between the two of you, this company's got $2,500 a head. Between the two of you.
No, that's how much that we can put aside to it while handling our others and still having our savings and our investment accounts where we're not going to break the bank and quit our day jobs for this quite yet. We need to still get it up to a certain capital mark. So that's why we're saying, and I'm wondering if you ever thought of vetting businesses, just like you're doing right now, but having a more formalized process, because there's a lot of people who are at this mark. And what I was at co-working space where I met this person at.
No, I do not need to do that.
Oh, okay.
Let me explain to you why. I need to do exactly what I'm doing right now. It's open to the public. It's available to anybody who wants to call in. It's at a regular set time every week. It's on a public platform. You can get directly through to me. It doesn't require waiting for an email. A lot of folks, if they want to contact me by email, they just want to do that so they can sell me something or get me to help them sell something. But if what you're saying is sincere, brother, I've been doing this for a decade now. So anybody can call me up right now. That's why I'm doing this program today. You can call me up any week. Totally not true. But I do this right now and it's available to the public.
Well, the phone is it's a really limited interface.
No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it isn't.
Oh.
No, sir, it is not a limited interface. What it does is I can ask you direct questions and get straight to the damn point. No, it's not limited. What you're saying is, well, you see, if I could just show you these graphics, this website over here. Yeah, there you go with the pitch, brother. No. See, when there's business to be done, business only requires a couple of questions. And then when the person can't answer your question, we already know why they can't answer the question. Or if the answers that they give are not satisfactory, then that's a problem. So, brother, for those of us who've been in business, it doesn't take all this. Well, let me show you my charts and my graphs, and if I can explain it to you, see, you'll understand, brother. If I can just talk to you over here on the side, not in front of all these people over here. If I can just, we need to come over here in this alley right quick. Let me talk to you in this alley over here, where we away from Brian Peters, because folks don't understand. No, brother, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way at all. All right, let me give you an example of what I mean. Now, I'm not talking to him, everybody, because you all know that I've already addressed what he's talking about. Let me explain to you exactly what I mean here, brother, okay? I want you to ask me a question. I want you to ask me, I'm going to ask you something, and then I want you to say to me the exact same things I said to you, okay?
All right.
All right, you go.
What is your business, and what is it about?
All right, sir, I'm a filmmaker. I also do videography at a professional level. I've got 4 powerhouse workstations running double Xeon processors. I've got 5 4K monitors. I've got 6 4K cameras, 1 6K camera, a full complement of lenses, lights, and trucking transporting capabilities. I've got $500,000 in the bank. We are able to travel anywhere at any time, except right now since they got things closed down. But that is what I do. That didn't take 30 seconds. Now, the only question we got to ask right now is, do you need some filmmaking to be done, sir?
I can see that.
Okay.
I can see that.
Okay, but do you see what it didn't take? It didn't take no, well, brother, can I see your email here with some more information as we behind the scenes? So we come in this alley so I can explain to you some more information, sir. Notice it didn't do that. Notice I'm not saying to you, well, if I can't really explain it to you in words. You need to see some more. No, right now I'm saying, do you need some film work done? And you're saying, well, not really. And I'm saying to you, well, what more do you need to hear? I'm ready to answer your questions because money about to change hands. I'm here to answer your questions. Now that's all right, brother. Okay. So you see, that's what it sounds like when somebody's doing business. When someone is doing legitimate business, ain't no a bunch of explanation. Not a bunch of words. When someone wants to do legitimate business, they get straight to it. They get straight to it. It doesn't take charts and graphs. You ask me the question, boom, I give you the answer. You ask me for numbers, I present the numbers. That's what I do. That's business. And if you were actually doing business, you would have been able to answer all those questions just fine. I told you before that wasn't sufficient. You circled, you said, oh no, we don't need to do no email thing. And then at the end, you circle right back around to, well, you see, it's more than we can do on a phone call, though. I'm like, you're on the phone with me right now. Yeah, but I need something else. You see, you circled back around to that. Yeah, but I want, if I can talk to you by email, let me get you away from these other folk over here. That's not the way business is done. That's the way scamming is done. That's the way hustling is done. It's not the way business is done. So you see, when you talk to somebody who does business, they know how legitimate business is done. When you start veering off in a direction that is not a common practice of legitimate business, we immediately recognize it. Why are you deviating from the road? Why did you make that left back there? We're on this damn dirt road right now. Business is a clean, pristine, paved highway. Might be long, might be traffic jams, but it's a big, clear highway. When somebody gets off the highway and starts taking a back road down dirt and gravel roads, we're not doing business right now. We're doing something else. That's the issue. Notice how different my responses to you are.
No, I hear you. I definitely hear you. And that's what I'm saying. Like, and I appreciate even hearing that because I can learn from that. The fact that you're saying business is a paved road, and I definitely I've heard that multiple times because I pitched at the co-working space and at different businesses. I've had a couple of investment meetings that I've excited about, but I've heard that I need to find a way to get more compact, and it's difficult because I'm real passionate about it, and it's something I've been working on since 2008. And this is finally the year I decided to put it into action. And it's difficult, but you're right. Got to be more clear and concise because, the person doesn't know me from anything, and I got to be able to come more correct. So I definitely get that. I'm glad I could get practice tonight. And I got to go and keep working on my platform. I got to make sure that my pitch is, really crisp, and I can talk more about the services and goods I offer on the site. So yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Why don't we start getting serious about it, and then you can come back and discuss business with anybody.
Sounds good.
Brothers and sisters from around the world, when there is business to be done, it sounds a certain way, it moves a certain way, and yes, you all are quite correct. It doesn't require all that talking. When somebody is trying to distract you from what they're not able to do, they start talking more, they start talking faster. They try to bypass your logic and your reasoning, and they tell you, why don't you just listen to me give you the speech over here? The people who do legitimate business, they're not in the business of getting cheated out of their money. They're in the business of making money, not being cheated out of it. So they are going to be very well aware of that. Very well aware. Now, there was somebody here who was supposed to be on the line, and they're not. A couple of folks in the chat room who were saying some silly things, but they definitely need the opportunity to explain that to people. So right now, I don't think either of them is on the line. If they do not give their area code and post that in the chat room and substantiate that they are currently on the line waiting to speak, then I want my mods to remove them. This is serious business, and we're not going to have anything else. So you all can check to see if they're actually on the line. If they do not give you an answer, go ahead and remove them. Let me go ahead and get caller from area code 740. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Carl from Cincinnati, Ohio.
Carl from Cincinnati. What's on your mind?
I'm actually calling up from last week's call from a young man who was, he didn't know he was actually in sales as far as selling cell phones and everything else, and knowing that that's a skill. But I'm actually a business banker, so I know that you always talk about the importance of having a banker conversation. So I'm actually lending myself to you, asking questions to help continue to educate those who are following the word.
Okay. Let me find out. Was there something you wanted to ask me?
No, but it was ultimately as far as your questions related to the Paycheck Protection Program, how the banks are working, how the money's being laid out, and everything else. I didn't know if you wanted to ask me any questions as well.
Well, are you saying that you are a banker?
Yes, I am a banker.
Okay. How many years experience do you have at banking?
I have 3 years.
You have 3 years experience at banking?
Yes.
Okay. What is the largest account or transaction that you have handled at the bank?
$2.4 million deal.
Okay, it was a
That was a business acquisition.
$2.4 million deal. That was a business acquisition, not just the purchase of a home.
Correct.
Okay.
I'm strictly a business banker.
Okay, you do business banking. Okay. And
Yes.
do you work for a bank with a name that we would recognize?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I don't actually have any questions for you. I mean,
Okay.
I myself don't actually have any questions about the paycheck protection program. Obviously, it's not protecting too many paychecks. I've already posted articles that are showing that black folks are really not getting anything out of it, which of course was predictable. And anything that the few black businesses that can will get out of it is going to be dwarfed because, of course, they're giving a bunch of money to banks like Wells Fargo and Bank of America, who are taking care of highly capitalized white businesses. And then they talked to their, what they were showing was that basically they were taking care of the white businesses first, and then at the very end, they would shove through hundreds of smaller applications for black concerns. But they would, the lion's share of the money they've been diverting off in the white companies. I don't have any questions to ask you about that, but I do have a question to ask you about something else. There are some things that we'd like to know here. Is it easier to develop business credit than it is to develop personal credit?
No. Yeah, everything runs off personal credit. There has to be a history. And we always start with person.
Okay, explain exactly what that means.
So basically, banks work off of historical information, meaning if you are in business or you started a business, we're going to look at the previous year's information. So, hey, you've been in business for, say, 3 years. We're going to be looking at year 1 and year 2. Obviously, if you start a new business, yeah, you're going to more than likely not make a profit for the first year or possibly even the second year. But we're looking more for trends, positive trends as far as making money. If there's a negative trend, we're not going to lend to you. If there's a positive trend and it properly cash flows based upon our calculations, then we'll have the opportunity of lending to you from a business standpoint. But we're going to be requiring personal tax returns. We're going to be requiring a personal financial statement. We're going to be looking at everything. We're going to lift up and look under every single rock that we can prior to us lending any money to you.
What typically would you require as far as the capitalization ratio to the loan being requested?
The deal actually has to cash flow 1.2 times whatever the given dollar amount that you're requesting.
Okay, so you're saying that you would be looking for the business to have 1.2 times capital for every dollar that they want to request from you.
Yes.
Okay. When you are determining a business's or an individual's assets, what kind of things are you looking for?
Yeah, we're looking at personal residence. If there's even a mortgage remaining on it or you own it outright. We're looking at stocks, securities. We don't utilize 401ks because we don't have control over that. Anything and everything, automobiles, if you own boats, things like that. But ultimately, a number of those we do actually write off. But we're really looking at, hey, what kind of financials do you have in the bank? What type of liquidity do you have as far as cash on hand?
What are the 2 biggest mistakes that people make when they approach you, or the 2 biggest deficiencies that they have when they approach you asking for money?
First one is ultimately the ask. I mean, especially from our community, we're always looking at, oh, I got this great idea and everything else. Okay, well, how much time, how much energy, how much effort have you put into this idea? What other avenues have you looked at as far as getting some money? Now, if you own a home, you can utilize a home equity line of credit, at a low interest rate, and you're not even extending out your credit any further as far as from a business standpoint. There are lots of questions that people have, and it's great. But a lot of times, you're wasting my time, with all these questions. You should have already come to see me, with a SWOT analysis plan and everything else. So I'm ready to go because I only deal with businesses that are $1 million, and up as far as annual sales are concerned.
Well, that's a good point to make right there. That basically sets a floor as far as the individuals you'd be able to deal with. So why would someone want to talk to you if you're only going to deal with businesses that make $1 million a year or more? What's the point of them talking to you then?
No, I mean, that's the threshold. So our bank is kind of segmented in different spaces. So anyone whose business has, $0 to, just under 1 million, they strictly deal with the branch staff that's actually at that, whatever their location is. Anything above that, that's when they bring me in where I specialize, and I bring my strategic partners related to other areas, whether it's merchant services, treasury management, and things like that.
Okay. Let's talk about people who are self-employed, okay? But they might be high earning.
Yep.
Let's just say we're dealing with somebody who, and I know a lot of folk are going to get annoyed when I say this, but brothers and sisters, you need to learn about this part, okay? Let's just say you're talking to somebody and they've got an income from their self-employed business of $200,000. I'm just naming a figure. I don't want to say 250 because I don't want to get into the tax bracket thing and I don't want your mind to divert. So let's just say that they're self-employed and they make $250,000 a year, free and clear. The business essentially has no debt. So let's just say that that's their income that they're generating. And let's just say the business is, for example, 2 years old. All right. Mm-hmm. In a situation like that right there, what would you suggest that that person have a CPA? And if so, why?
Yes, I would say utilizing a CPA based upon the number of various ways that you can actually shelter money. Ultimately, I mean, most black people, we lose by not understanding taxes and how taxes work and the various entities that you can actually shelter money. So a CPA can actually tell you the various ways as far as, hey, if you divert money here, if you just set up a simple IRA or anything else like that, you have an opportunity of, at the end of the year, investing X amount of dollars into that, and you won't have to pay taxes on it for the following year. So a CPA is a business owner's best friend outside of a banker and a business attorney.
Also, don't forget the advantages, for example, of setting up an S Corp. A lot of people who become self-employed, who are successful, they don't understand for legal purposes. You want to have a line of separation between you and your business. Can you explain why that is?
Right. There's something as far as what we call commingling of funds, where there needs to be a clean line when it comes to when you're filing taxes. Of course, personal taxes are supposed to be related to personal things. If you are a business owner, you can pay yourself via payroll or a draw or a distribution and have that set aside, using that as your personal income rather than, hey, yes, I own a business. All of this money that I'm making is technically my income. That's not correct to the business expenses, your accounts payables, your accounts receivables, and other items that you may have. And it's looked at differently from a tax standpoint.
And the other reason for that, of course, is because if there is no line of distinction between the money that the quote business makes and the money that you are paid, what becomes a problem is now you're liable. Because in that situation, somebody, you can't go to court and claim, oh, you have to sue the business, you can't sue me. If they take a look at your financial records and your money has always been in one pot, from a legal standpoint, you can't then claim the business is separate if in practice you've always treated them as the same. That's a big thing that people need to be aware of. Your banker usually will not tell you this, but your CPA, they're worth a damn, usually will. If a person wants to qualify for a $2 million loan, and I'm not going to give you any parameters, but let's just say that a person wants to qualify for a person wants to qualify for a $5 million loan. When he walks into your office, I am not saying the ideal candidate, but what is the minimum? When you take a look at this person's profile, what are the minimum things that this person would need to have or have done to qualify for $5 million?
A couple of things. We look at the individual as a whole as far as their history. When it comes to a personal tax return standpoint, we'll look back at least 3 years, seeing if there are any inconsistencies related to their personal tax returns. We'll look at the business tax returns. We'll see if they are profitable. What stage of existence are they related to their business? Are they in the beginning? Are they growing? Are they sunsetting? Are they looking to actually divest and sell the business? So we look at that as well. Of course, that personal financial statement, we need to find out how liquid they are. We need to find out their personal credit history. We'll pull that, and we'll also pull the credit history related to the business. Anything and everything, it has to be in order. Normally, for something that sizable, that business annual sales would need to be roughly around $40 to $45 million in annual sales for something like that. I mean, just depending upon what it is and how we can secure it as far as from a collateral standpoint.
Okay. For a business that is just starting out, however, what would you require?
Business system. We're going to require all that, and then in addition to that, because that would need to require an SBA, Small Business Administration, lending piece where there's additional documentation. We'll need to have a sales projections for the first 2 years. We'll also need to have a formal and written business plan as well, stating as far as the need and the reason behind it. How do you plan on returning that as far as that loan, as well as the terms of that loan, where they're, hey, I need $5 million because I plan on purchasing this commercial real estate property, which is $4.5 million. I plan on putting in $500,000 worth of renovations related to it. Okay, that's cool. Then of course we'll do our evaluation. We'll send out a bid for the evaluation of the building, the property, and see what comes back, and hopefully things need to line up in order for something like that to happen. But it really does boil down to how strong the individual is, especially if it's in the business, because we don't have any historical information to go off of.
And what type of credit score would you be looking for?
Anything above 700. I mean, 700, yeah, you're looking at a decent interest rate because everything, the higher the credit score, the lower the interest that you'll pay on any lending facility. That's how it works. If you have shitty credit, you're going to have a higher interest rate. If you have great credit, you're going to have almost next to no interest when it comes to, depending upon the time frame that we're in. I mean, interest rates are down to 3.25, but now my bank, they actually just raised rates, so you're going to be looking at anywhere between 4.5% to 5.5%.
Now, you said that to get a $5 million loan, you would be looking for somebody to have somewhere in the neighborhood of $45 million in revenue just to get a $5 million loan. So that seems, to a lot of folk who are listening here, I have to say, I mean, that just seems like, wow, that kind of seems out of whack. Why would you need to make so much more money to get a $5 million loan? I'm not really sure if that sounds quite correct.
Excuse me, I didn't mean, for a loan that size, it ultimately boils down to how well you cash flow, how profitable you are. I mean, I have a customer that they made $4.5 million last year, and their net profit was only $2,000. So it all depends on how well the deal actually cash flows. So if they were talking about as far as no historical information, yeah, we would be needing something that's sizable. But since we don't have anything, we need to go the SBA route and having collateral as far as one home that they're going to need to utilize for putting a lien on it and everything else.
Okay. So the folks in the chat room here know everything I've heard. I've got a few questions about, but for the most part, most of what he's saying here is accurate here. You have to understand, I'm trying to teach you all something. Banks do not lend money to people who need money. Banks lend money to people who do not need it. They are not a charity. So you notice that he said, well, if you're a business and you're questionable, maybe we can get the Small Business Administration to co-sign this with us and basically to indemnify and back this, but not for us to walk out there ourselves. It's kind of like when people are buying a house. If you're a first-time home buyer, the bank isn't really going to put the money into it. They're going to see if they can get Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac to back it. They're just the ones who facilitate it. Well, it's the same thing in business. Banks, I've tried to tell you all for years, it's not going to change. Banks don't lend money to people who need money. They don't lend money to people who are cash strapped. They lend money to people who is like, hey, this is extra. We would like to free up extra capital for you. Would you like to use our capital instead of your own? That's the service that the bank offers. They're not a charity. They're not a social service organization. They're not a casino. They have no interest in risking capital whatsoever. If you're a loan officer and want to get fired quicker than anything else, don't do your due diligence. They're not here to, quote, help you out. They're here to help themselves. That's what they do. That's how they stay in business. And they are cutthroat and ruthless about it. And oh yeah, they have to be, because if you all think about your uncle, your auntie, and your cousin who hasn't paid off their $5,000 Capital One credit card from 20 years ago, that's the reason the banks operate the way that they do. Because that's what happens when you give money to people who need. If you extend a loan to somebody who, quote, needs it, your FICO score begins to drop when you apply for too many credit cards within a too short a distance to each other, because in the credit business, they call that seeking. And seeking is usually a sign that you're in financial trouble. So we don't want to see a bunch of that. So to those of you who are asking, yeah, there's a reason why they want that type of capitalization. Now, for a lot of you, this is confusing. And it's confusing because the only type of loan you've ever been able to get are the two highest priced, riskiest ones, an auto loan or a house loan. He's not talking about those. That's the difference. You see, for an auto loan, the rules are real risky. The rates can go sky high. It's the wild, wild west. And most of you, the only thing you know about a loan is qualifying for, quote, an auto loan. That's not anywhere remotely the same as a business loan. Not even close. So a lot of you are getting confused because you're conflating the two. A house is really only a step or two above getting a car when it comes to that type of risk and having to have capitalization to be able to pay for it, what the requirements are. So a lot of you are confused because you're like, well, if I make $100,000 a year, I can get a $300,000 house. But to get $5 million business loan, he's saying I got to have 9 times that amount. It's totally backwards. No, it's totally business. Because you're operating in two different worlds. So for a lot of you, yes, this is confusing because you're still thinking about the way you would think, well, if I go buy a car. This is not buying a car. It's not that at all. Now, to sneak in the chat room, you were asking about $250,000 for purchasing a truck. That's really an auto loan, is what it is. And it's really it's still gonna require the same qualifications. So you wouldn't necessarily need to talk to a guy like the individual on the phone right now. You really wouldn't have to do that. The dealership can set that up, or you should be able to qualify for that through the bank regardless. Just for a conventional loan, you should be able to do that. But bottom line, they're going to want to see your income and they're going to want to see your credit score. And that's going to determine how much you can borrow. Now, you're borrowing it against those trucks, which means the trucks are going to be the collateral in case you don't pay. So that's the way that works. So they're not going to require you to be making $2 million. No, it'll be different. But you're still going to need to qualify for it. That's the point. You will still need to qualify. A lot of folks are confused about that, about exactly how that works. So you're definitely going to need to do that.
Excuse me. I want to clarify it. I was actually thinking of a line of credit where you actually is like ultimately 10% of what one's annual sales are. So as far as a $5 million loan, it could be anywhere between $6 million to $10 million in annual sales. As far as having the opportunity for us to extend something like that to you.
In my experience, you're definitely going to. In my experience, it's been somewhere between 3 to 5 times. In my experience, I can't speak for your bank. I can't speak for what you do. I can't speak for that. I can't speak for it, and I'm not trying to speak for it. My experience has been that. Here's the real kicker about it. What people need to understand is that it works in the reverse of what you are expecting for an, quote, auto loan or a house loan. What you're going to need to be collateralized is going to be far different than what you're used to. So this is a situation where you have to actually have more than the loan is worth before you can get started, which is the reverse of what most people have been conditioned to. They're used to being able to make less than the car is worth, less than the house is worth. When it comes to a business loan, it works exactly the opposite. You must have more than what you're asking for. Now, of course, the bigger the business is, that changes. I mean, if you're Walt Disney or something, that's a different matter. But then again, they make a whole lot more in revenue than the rest. Differences between these things. That's a very important point to make here. What is the number one reason in your experience that businesses fail?
Lack of preparation, as well as some business owners want to do every single thing and they can't. I mean, you're human. I mean, you may have a family, you may have other obligations outside of that. The stress of everything that's going on, something's going to fall. And if you didn't properly prepare, whether it's financially or mentally, to handle all that, it wears on you and you just bow out.
If a person has $5 million, let's say, rather than taking out $1 million loan from your bank or even $1 million line of credit, and thank you for making those distinctions, because they have different products, as they call it, and that's going to give different rules. Why would a person borrow money from your bank, however, if they're making, let's just say they're making $1 million, $2 million profit a year, why would they borrow money from your bank rather than simply pay for it cash on their own?
Why make yourself cash poor when you can borrow someone else's money? Ultimately, that's how that works. Yeah, you have the opportunity of investing your own personal money in the stock market or any other types of security that you want. They may have an opportunity of providing you with a higher interest rate based upon the interest rate that you'll get on the loan. So you got to look at the spread. So, hey, if I put some money into the stock market, I'm making 10%, and then the loan that I get from the bank is 5%. I'm still making a 5% profit, while still keeping the money in my pocket, and I'm using the bank's money.
Now, a lot of people who are here, they're saying what I've said for years, which is that, you're risking other people's money instead of your own. Brothers and sisters, that's the reason why the bank wants to make sure your finances are straight before they loan you anything. They're not here to be your buddy. They want to loan money. But there are rules to that. Another thing that comes into play here, and this one's my favorite one, is opportunity cost. So you're correct about you can borrow money and put it into something else, but the other thing is, for example, if you can get a bank to write you a loan for $50,000 rather than paying $150,000 for a new piece of equipment, if you can do that instead, ask yourself a question. Okay, what's the interest rate that the bank wants to charge on that $50,000? Okay, they want to charge, let's just say, for example, 3%. Let's just say they want to charge that, for example. All right, that's going to put you somewhere in the neighborhood of $6,000 if I don't miss my math correctly on that. Somebody will correct me if I'm completely off base about that. That puts you somewhere in that neighborhood. Let's just say it's 5 or 7 years. So just for argument's sake, let's just say we're around $6,000 is what you would pay in interest on that. Over the course of 5 years, could you keep that $50,000 in your bank account, invested somewhere else, like you said, maybe in stocks? I'm not a big stock person, but maybe in stocks, maybe in real estate, maybe in expanding your business, pay for another piece of equipment cash, and be able to make more than $6,000 over the course of the next 5 years? Could you do that? If you could, then it would make more sense to borrow the $50,000 from the bank, because you can take that $50,000 of your own savings, put it somewhere else, and over the course of 5 years, if you can make $20,000, it would make a whole lot more sense to borrow his money instead and use yours for something else that can get you a higher rate of return. So it really becomes about, well, can I get a higher rate of return with that $50,000 still in my bank account that beats the 3% that his bank is charging? Oh, I can? Then why would I liquidate my entire $150,000? I can just spend 100 of my money, spend 50 of his, beat the interest rate he's charging me. In the end, I'm coming out ahead. But this requires math, and this also requires planning. You have to understand what a percentage rate is. You have to understand what it is. These are things I've done myself. And it seems scary until you think about it. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, you can't really think ahead like this. If you get your finances straight, it makes more sense. But then again, you have to think 3 years, 5 years down the road. And then start adding that up. Okay, where am I going to be in 5 years? Then you have to take a look at yourself. If you're a person who doesn't want to show up for work, or you answer the phone at your business sometimes, or customer service is a luxury, you might be in business, you might not be, then guess what? You're going to do what a lot of folks do. And this is one of the problems that I find with black businesses so often is not that they don't borrow money, but that they can't borrow it. Not just they don't borrow it, they're unable to borrow it, either because they don't qualify or for whatever reason they've been running an all cash business.
Mm-hmm.
What is in your opinion, what is the handicap of running an all cash business? Let's just say they're running a business and it's profitable. Let's just say the business is not underwater, it's not in debt, it's profitable, but they've never taken out a loan. They have never utilized any type of credit. They pay cash for everything. And they basically have a blank credit file. Brother, if they're not in debt, what's wrong with that?
Banks actually like to see that historical information where it's almost like, all right, well, yeah, I understand he's in the cash business. You know, he pays cash for everything, but what does he really do? How is he really making his money? We need some type of historical information. So that's why they're always strongly pushing for, utilizing, hey, do you have a credit card?
Right, but I'm talking about for a business. Let's just say you have a business that they're like, I don't have to use a bank. I just pay for everything cash. Mm-hmm. We doing okay like we are. Why are you pushing me to get credit and be able to qualify for a loan at the bank? Why would we encourage someone to do that if they're paying cash in their business and they're not going underwater? Why would we encourage them to start becoming credit worthy?
Right. Just like the prime example as far as using other people's money. So you have the opportunity of investing your money, keeping that money in your pocket while utilizing the bank's money at that point in time in order for whatever project or expansion or anything else like that you are actually in pursuit of.
I guess the point I really want to make for people is it moves things faster. Now, he said expansion. That's really the direction I'm trying to go in here. Your business can expand what you have to wait 10 years for if you got to save up the money. You got one location. Let's just say you own a restaurant like Sweetie Pies or something. If you're going to rely solely on your ability to pay cash, then that means for you to get a second location, you're going to have to save up all the money. And we don't know how long that'll take. So an expansion that could have been done in 36 months will now require 10 years. And while you're waiting 10 years to expand, your competition is borrowing money from the banks, credit unions, investors, or whatever. They're getting the prime real estate. And by the time you actually do get the money together, all the best real estate is taken. And now you're going to have to, whatever piece of land you were looking at, whatever location you were looking at, you're going to have to change plans. Now you have the money, but you can't use that location anymore. You've lost opportunity. That's the opportunity cost I was referring to before. You've lost that opportunity that you could have had. Now you got to go look somewhere else. If there's another place available, if there is, and even if you do find another place that's available, there's no guarantee that it's going to produce for you. So now you took something that was a sure thing, or at least was a very good thing. Now you turned it a lot more risky than it otherwise would have been. Being able to borrow money, it makes you more agile. It makes you quicker. It makes you able to expand bigger without having to wait. If your business, if you have reached financial intelligence maturity, it allows you to grow before you even reach actual financial maturity. That's something that you cannot do paying cash for things. And by the way, I was one of those people. I was one of those pay cash for everything people when I was in my 20s. I paid cash for everything. Credit profile was as blank as Charles Barkley's head. I paid cash for everything. I didn't have anybody. I thought, like a lot of black folk, it's a sin. Debt is a sin. Nobody had ever sat me down and actually given me the education I give you all that says that, yeah, debt can be a sin because there are two types of debt: consumer debt and investment debt. Most black folk are experts at racking up consumer debt. Well, yeah, that will kill you. Mm-hmm. However, debt from an investment can set you free, but you've got to be educated about the two and the rules of the road for the two, so that you see your credit card is something that you use to fill out that blank credit profile, so that one day you can come to somebody like my caller and show them your track record of handling it. Then he's like, okay, let's see where we're going to go from here. But if you think a credit card is something that you use to help finance shoes or a dinner at Taco Bell, that's the problem. A lot of folk never get free because of that. I want to ask you one more thing. Is an exotic car, in your opinion, is an exotic, and I'm talking about something like a Lamborghini, Ferrari, is that an asset?
To the masses, no, not an asset. Still a liability. I mean, it's still an automobile. It all depends on if you find someone who's a collector who may want your specific model or VIN number of that given car. But ultimately, it's still a liability. I mean, hey, you put it on the road, you get in an auto accident, whether it's your fault or not, it's liability.
Would you advise people to purchase a car like that if they're able to? I'm not talking about somebody who's financially strapped. Would you advise them to purchase one or lease one?
Lease. Oh, always lease. I mean, we're in the mindset of, if it's 2 months old and there's a newer version of it, I want that one. So always lease.
Those are important principles I want for folks to have. 75% of luxury cars are leased. 75%. 75% of the Mercedes and Beamers you all see out there are leased. They're not purchased. And God Almighty, when you take a look at their repair record, why would you want to? Folks who don't understand. Mm-hmm. Folks who don't understand. Do you consider a house to be an asset?
It depends. If you're utilizing it to pull, say, the equity out of it to incorporate, say, a home equity line of credit for you to purchase, a 4-family or 5-family apartment building, you utilize that interest rate rather than one with the bank or anything else like that, then yeah, it becomes an asset. But otherwise, if you're not going to use it that way, then no, it's not an asset. It's still a liability.
Because a lot of people are under a misconception about that. Let me ask you one last question here then. What in your opinion, if you shouldn't have a car or whatever, or at least you're saying they should lease a car, which means they wouldn't own one. What in your opinion should be the most expensive thing that a person owns?
Usually their home. If not their home, if they're not in business, ultimately, hey, if you have the opportunity of having a business, and continuing to expand it, that should be your most expensive thing, because it will always continue to generate income for you as well as profit. Outside of that, one's home, and then as far as an automobile after that.
Well, I think that's a very good thing for us to have here. There's been a lot of good information. Why don't you go ahead and shoot me an email? If you look out my email address, go ahead and just shoot me an email here, and might see about talking to you in the future.
Okay, that sounds great.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Please do give us a call again. Well, now you didn't have to just hear from me. By the way, these are basics. By the way, these are the basics. I want you to understand these are the basics. Oh, yeah, and by the way, did you hear the way he talked at the beginning of the phone call, too, by the way? He said, why are you wasting my time? Understand something. When you're dealing with folk who are used to doing business, they get very short with you very quick. Their time, even if your time isn't worth that much, their time is. Your time might not be worth that much, theirs is. These are a lot of lessons for a lot of you, even if you never learned them. And by the way, I wasn't born knowing all these things. I'm one of the first people to sit up here and tell you, hey, I learned a lot through the School of Hard Knocks. You don't have to be the same way. You can learn from my experiences. You don't have to go out here and smash your head to the wall. You can learn from what I've learned. You can learn from where I've been. You don't have to make the mistakes that I've made. You don't have to repeat my foibles. You can bypass those. So I tell you all the things I've learned. You get credit together, not so you can offload the cost of your consumer spending. You get your credit together so you can invest. I could take $50,000 of my money. Let me borrow $50,000 of somebody else's money. If I'm going to gamble, I'm going to get $50,000. Let me see if I can turn that into $150,000. Well, I could use my own money, or I could borrow it from the bank and risk his money. Well, yeah, you'll owe the bank, but guess what? It'll be in your bank account. Most black folk are not taught how to think strategically. Finance, I've taught you economics is war. It's your opportunity to learn from that, if you're willing to. Let me get a caller from area code 412. You're on live with Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hello, my name's Dory. I'm calling from, I'm in Waco, Texas right now. However, I'm a truck driver and I'm a small business owner. I recently just started my business at the beginning of March, right at the time of this economic collapse. See, I was a truck driver for a large mega carrier for a little over a year. And just to share a little bit with the audience, I'm a long-time listener, first-time caller. And a little over a year and a half ago, I found myself unemployed. And when I'm listening to some of your callers call in and what they talk about, it makes me think about when they're going through struggles, that what we need to do as Black people is, when we find ourselves unemployed or underemployed, make looking for a job a full-time job. And what I did was, I found myself going to 20 inter. I worked there for some time, and then I'm still working with them, but not for them anymore. I completed my contract back in December, and effectively mid-February, I established the LLC. Now I'm able to actively save roughly $8,000 a month, and look, I'm grossing about $4,000 a week. But being a truck driver, there's a lot of expenses in terms of fuel and insurance and different things of that nature. But I live in the truck full time, and I don't have any house payment, car payment, utilities, children, girlfriend to pay for, nothing like that. And it's really been enriching, to say the least. And what I'm actually calling to say is, I have when you talk about trying to educate and teach and help all of our people, I realize that I can't even help my own family because they don't want to learn. They don't want to change. They don't want to evolve. Everybody got these little tax stimulus checks, $1,200, and they're not really doing much with it. And it's like, hey, I said years ago.
Understand something. You don't have to. One of the traps that we fall into, particularly as black men, when you start becoming progressive, you want to see everybody come up. Keep that energy. Keep that energy of wanting to see everyone come up, but understand what it really means. When I say I want to see everyone come up, that means I ain't a hater. If I can do something that helps you, I'm all for that. I'm not here to hold you back. If I can give you some information, I've got 2 people that I know who I gave them information 5 years ago, and they make more money than I do now. And I'm cool breeze on that. I'm cool breeze. But I'm not a hater. So I want to see everybody do well. But that doesn't mean I have an obligation to help everybody. And that's something that we have to understand, because our time is valuable. Our time is valuable, and a lot of folk want to start with their families. But if you come from a family that just ain't no damn good, think about that.
You're right on that. Yep, and I agree completely. I come from an ancient family, and literally, almost virtually all the elders in my family they've had backgrounds in drug problems and poor work performance, and poor credit, of course, comes along with that, and no savings, and almost they idolize the idea of one day I'll be able to get on Social Security and the government will pay my way for the rest of my life.
Big ass
and
children.
That was their retirement point.
Big ass children. They've been infantilized. They've never built anything. They've been taken care of their whole lives, or they have become accustomed to subsisting. Thriving isn't a word in their vocabulary. So when somebody tells you, I just want to coast until Social Security, and we all know Social Security don't pay you jack slates, I want to coast until Social Security, this nigga just told you he's ready to die. I just want a quiet death. I've never been able to bring myself to figure out how to become more than a piece of crap. I'm accustomed to poverty. I've given up on myself. I gave up a long time ago. A person like that is only good for weighing you down. They weighed themselves down. They made themselves crash and burn. The only gift they can offer to you is to weigh you down too. So what you got to do is, this is your opportunity to reinvigorate the bloodline.